So a Fed cut at their March or April's meetings out of the question?
Yeah, no chance of that. And you've got more chance of seeing Donald Trump dancing at a Bad Bunny concert.
So Paul, we've seen some movement in the pound this week.
Yeah, it hasn't really broken any major levels, but we've seen a cent range up and down against the dollar and around a half a cent range up and down versus the euro.
And it started the week on a weaker note, still suffering from last week's Keir Starmer fallout.
Yeah, we saw this week's lows on Monday morning after the resignation of Downing Street's Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney on Sunday.
Resignation? Did he fall or was he pushed?
Yeah, I know what you mean then. Did he fall or was he pushed? And then Labour's leader in Scotland, Annie Sawar, called for Starmer to quit.
But he said he's not going to quit, and the pound made a recovery?
Yeah, it's saying he's not going to quit. It's removed an element of political uncertainty for now and helped the pound.
You say for now? He's not out of the woods just yet though, is he?
Well, it probably survived the upcoming by-election at Galton and Denton, especially if the Green Party win and not Reform. But I think the knives will be out for him in May if Labour perform badly at the local elections.
And as we've discussed previously, all the political uncertainty, that would not be good for the pound.
Yeah, any change would likely favour the pro-left wing of the party, and if he is to survive a challenge, it would likely be by appeasing the left wing of the party.
And that would be by more public spending?
Yeah, if history's anything to go by, yes. And if they spend more, that could lead to a further deterioration in the UK's fiscal outlook.
So if Starmer falls, who is the favourite to replace him?
Well, Angela Rayner's his favourite.
Goodness me. Well, if she got in, that could result in a few arguments amongst the neighbours in Downing Street.
Yeah, you couldn't imagine Rachel Reeves being so happy, could you?
So on Wednesday's non-farm report, a good number?
Yeah, 70,000 expecting. It came in at 130, so yeah.
And dollar strengthened on the back of the figures?
Well, initially, yes, but it gave back a lot of those gains as the afternoon went on, which was surprising as traders reduced expectations of a June rate cut. Maybe the market's looking ahead to this afternoon's inflation data to confirm those expectations.
So a Fed cut at their March or April's meetings out of the question?
Yeah, no chance of that, and you've got more chance of seeing Donald Trump dancing at a Bad Bunny concert.
What about UK GDP yesterday? Slightly below forecast?
Yeah, the last quarter of 2025 was the same as the previous 3 months from June to September, and November's was revised down slightly.
And the reaction?
Nothing major in sterling, and Rachel Reeves, as you would expect, drew attention to the fact that the UK's economy is currently the best performing country in Europe.
Better than Germany, France, Italy and Spain?
Yeah.
Maybe they would be doing better if the UK stayed in Europe. And the afternoon's inflation data from the US, what can we expect?
Well, economists expect the headline inflation and core inflation, which excludes food and energy prices, both to have fallen in January from December.
And if correct, Fed rate cut expectations will remain the same.
Yeah.
And Trump's being quiet this week.
Yeah, not entirely, but he hasn't been as active on Truth Social as he normally is since last Friday.
Oh, last Friday? Yeah, last Friday.
Last Friday.
And what about next week's economic calendar?
Yeah, we've got quite a bit out really. We've got UK employment data out on Tuesday. Wednesday we've got UK inflation data and the Fed minutes. We closed the week, UK retail sales, PMIs and US GDP.
Busy week of data which could cause volatility.
Could be.